you. Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. I'm a big Raptors fan, so I feel your pain that this is very stressful to be on your phones, and I take no offense. Check your scores. I'm going to be super quick. I'm going to talk for a few minutes and just chat a little bit about digital transformation in retail. I'm just looking for a clicker. Perfect. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to talk about hits and misses in retail. I've got 2 hits and 2 misses. I'm going to give you one Indigo example because I'm from Indigo and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about that, but then I'm going to move on to some other companies and hopefully there's some learning that applies. So the first is a hit. I'm calling it Don't Knock the Side Hustle. So this isn't, the idea of a side hustle isn't new. I think anybody who works here knows that most of your colleagues or employees have side hustles and passion projects. Indigo is not unique in that way, but we have a ton of millennials in our team, and tons of them have side hustles, and really interesting ones. And I think what you can learn from this, and Google does this really well with their 20% project, is if you give people a bit of time and a bit of space to lean into whatever their passion project is, you as a company and as an employer can actually learn a lot and can sometimes benefit from those projects. So I'm using Mystique Matai as an example. Mystique is one half of Chef's Sous Chef. She and her husband Philip, who's on the left, have this amazing brand that they're building in Canada. They're food influencers. They've got 15,000 followers on Instagram and a really successful blog. And Mystique, so really, really good at social media. She's the head of our social media team. So she works on my team and she informs all of our social media strategies. So I think for us, this has worked really well because the person who's really an expert in the social space and is taking all of those learnings and bringing them back to Indigo as a company, she's getting time and investment and energy into her side project, which she loves and is good at, and we're benefiting hugely from all the learning she's getting in the space. So don't knock the side hustle. A miss is a bit of an obvious one, but I'm calling it chasing the shiny thing. So I think in retail, I think this is probably true in all of your industries, but I think in retail, we are very guilty of what's that shiny new object that we should all be chasing after, and digital, and there's all these buzzwords and people are so excited. And I think it's a huge miss, and it's where a lot of the brands that we think of who haven't done well in their digital transformation process, they've really tripped up and fallen down because they've been chasing after shiny objects. So I've used the example here of Zara, and I think I'm using it sort of as the antithesis of this, because Zara, well, they dabble in some digital technologies that are customer facing. So this example is their augmented reality, which they had in a handful of stores. They have a few select things that they test out that are customer facing, but mostly their energy goes into their app. And so Zara has one of the best e-commerce apps out there. It's like their singular focus most years. They put a ton of investment into it, and it's part of how they've transformed digitally is they put all of this energy into their app, and they win awards every year for it. And it's a great story. It's a great extension of their brand and part of how they're winning in digital as a retailer. The next one is a hit. So online before offline. I think there's something really interesting here where we're seeing, I'm from Indigo, we're an omni-channel retailer. We've got 210 stores and 1 in the US. 210 in Canada, 1 in the US. And I think we've really gone through this transformation of starting out as a company of stores and then trying to figure out how to run an e-commerce business alongside that. So the flip of that, what we're seeing now, is companies that start out online and use that endless aisle online to test and learn, and they fail really quickly, they do some interesting things, and then they open up a physical space. And the ones that really make the news are the ones that have used all of those learnings online to do something super cool in a physical retail space. So this is sort of the flip of digital transformation. They're using all those digital learnings and then going into physical. So Warby Parker is a great example of this. Allbirds is a great example. I think Glossier is a really great example. So Glossier, most of you know, founded by a woman who's now 34, and she started it as Into the Gloss, which was a blog. And she grew her blog, and she grew her following, and she learned about her customers, and she really leaned in and built this now valued at $1 billion company of makeup products that are have cute packaging and not a ton of products, but they're interesting. And so she took all those digital learnings, and then she opened a store in New York, Lower Manhattan, and when she opened the store, there were lineups for months around the corner, and you could tell she had built this following online slowly from a blog, got all this interest, kind of became a bit of a cult following amongst millennials, and then took all those learnings and put them into this retail space. And they've now got pop-ups that are going on all over North America. I'm sure they're moving internationally. And so I think it's something really interesting to think about how she learned what she learned in digital, and then took all of that and built it into a retail space. Warby Parker's a great example. I think there were like 4 buddies in business school who were working on a project one night and trying to figure out why glasses were so expensive. They all wore eyeglasses. And then tested this theory, like, would people buy eyeglasses online? Yeah. Built an online business, amazing. Turned it into retail stores. I don't know, I think most of you have probably been into a Warby Parker store. They're amazing spaces. They do something really cool, and it came out of all of those things they learned from digital. Also incidentally valued at $1 billion. And then finally a miss, I think a big miss in digital transformation, I think probably you'll hear about this from me, is the idea that you ignore your physical store. So again, we have 210 stores, and I think we would be really remiss if we didn't think about all the learning that could come from the footfall of those stores. I think the Amazon Go example in Seattle is very interesting. I don't know if many of you have followed this, but Amazon Go has this store, and it's payless. Like, you walk in, you pick out your things, you put them in your basket, you leave, you don't have to pay, take it with you, they charge your account. What's really interesting about this is they are monitoring every single thing you do in that store. So where you walk, what products you pick up, the people who look at the label and then put something back, the people who pick up something else, and then they also have this in their basket. So they have an incredible, sort of creepy amount of data that comes with this store. And they're using this, you can bet your ass they're using this to inform all of their other stuff that they're doing in retail. So I think for those of us who work in the retail space, or for those of us who have the luxury of having a physical space where we interact with customers, the human psychology of what customers are doing and how they're interacting with our products is like an amazing untapped. I think people see retail as like, oh, you've got all these stores and what a burden, and it can be that for some brands, for sure. That's part of the transformation, but it can also be this incredible resource where you can be learning about things and applying them to either your e-com business or your retail business or your omni-channel strategy. So 2 hits, 2 misses. I think I'm coming back after to take any questions if there are any. And that's it. So thank you so much for listening.